Hi, I'm Jim Gordon.
And I'm Lita Leapin.
And welcome to another edition of Our City Tonight.
Well, we're here in the Cabana Lounge at Hydra Restaurant where we love to film our show.
We do, and we want to get right to that show after you watch this.
This segment is sponsored by the Richmond Sentinel, providing news, entertainment, and human interest stories in print and online.
He's an Oscar winner, he's a Grammy winner, he has won a BAFTA, he's won a Golden Globe. He's been making music for films and with music all over the world for almost 30 years. I first heard of this guy back in 2008, as millions of others did, when he won an Oscar for Slumdog Millionaire. He was recently in town performing with the VSO in a world premiere of his film Le Musque. It was part of the Vancouver International Film Festival. His music, you know it, the movies he scores, you know, and he's joining us now. It is a great pleasure to welcome A.R. Rahman to this show. Sir, thank you for joining us on Our City Tonight.
Thank you, my pleasure.
I'm very happy to have you here because I'm a very big fan of the people that do what you do. And I want to start by saying, you know, I always ask artists, singer-songwriters, authors, actors, what is it that you first felt or heard or saw that made you want to do what you're doing now? But I think in your case, with your father, your late father, having been a composer and a conductor, it's almost like this was in your DNA. You certainly were probably surrounded by this, yes?
Yeah, I was surrounded. My father was a composer, conductor, composer. So he was working in multiple different places, like when I was young, and he passed away very early, around age of 9, by age 9. So my mother said, just do what your father did. Don't waste time studying. And I think she was right, because I didn't waste time going to college or anything. I just plunged into music. I became a session musician. Then 10 years from then, I started doing jingles, and then my first break came in 92, 91.
It's just remarkable, too, that you have crossed the musical landscape from specific types of genres. But for me, the first time, and I'm sure along with millions of other people, it was when I saw Slumdog Millionaire back in 08, 09, and that was your music, your creativity. Can you walk us through and our viewers through the process you go through? Are you sitting in watching the dailies? Did they send you the script? Someone like a great director like Danny Boyle, who did Slumdog, is he sending you the whole film as a rough copy? How does it work for you?
So sometimes they give for the 127 hours, they just gave the script. So I came up with some themes. But in the case of Slumdog Millionaire, they gave a DVD. Danny just gave me the DVD, he gave me the rough cut and said, I would love you to do the music. So I took that and I watched it a week later. I called him and I was bowled over. And then we started exchanging ideas. I sent some stuff on email, and he would respond to like number 3, number 5, and that's it. So this was probably the fastest ever I've done music for any movie.
And our AR, I was talking to my director before we came on because we're both fans, and he had a great line where he said, you know, the music can really enhance a scene, a film, a TV show, but it can't get in the way. So when you sit, it's an emotional thing, I'm assuming, with you, but as I said, how do you get it in there? Because some of my favorite moments in cinema are attached to the music that complemented the scenes. Walk us through the kind of balancing act you have to always be aware of.
So I think the great directors with a lot of emotion, they normally cut the music. They take a theme from me, or they cut to something great like Gladiator or whatever, and they say, now beat this. And that's the worst.
That's tough.
So I normally watch the movie without music first and see what comes to me, and then I watch it with the music they put. So it doesn't kill my creativity. And sometimes, you know, what they put, we can do music like this, because editors have a great sense of music. Some editors actually put some great music in. You don't even think that it could match together. And because I've been there in music for almost 42 years. I mean, playing music, composing music, arranging, producing. My muscle memory, I always like to cheat sometimes. Like what I feel like, this is what the music should be. I suddenly want to cheat my mind and say, no, what if it's something else? And so it's a process of realizing how we can bring greatness to it, how we can engage the audience with something which they don't expect to, how it could probably complement a scene by making it more believable or taking it to another musical landscape where it's more mind-driven than what you hear. That's one good thing working, starting from India. India actually encourages you to be everything. Whereas when you come to Hollywood, they pigeonhole something. Oh, this is an Indian composer, or this guy does horror well, this guy does orchestral well, this guy is just a songwriter. So all that bottlenecks goes off because I come from such a place where such a multicultural place. India is. South India is completely different from North India, where the sensibilities are slightly different, the language is different, the food is different, the ragas are different. Ragas are like the modes of music.
And one of the things I love you do as we wrap things up is that I love it when someone in your situation as an artist introduces people to a specific genre of music from a different part of the world, because good music is good music. I don't care where it's from. So you have certainly done that, sir. Hey, I want to thank you for joining us, AR. It's a great pleasure to meet you, and I've enjoyed your work in so many great films that you've done. Continued success, and I thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, sir.
This segment was sponsored by the Richmond Sentinel, providing news, entertainment, and human interest stories in print and online.
Sponsorship and other promotional considerations provided by Bosa Foods, authentic Italian, with 2 locations to serve you better. More information, go to bosafoods.com.
There is a great new film documentary out now for home viewing. It is called Happy Clothes, and it is a great documentary about the esteemed and very interesting fashion designer, Patricia Field. Welcome, Michael. What an awesome film.
Thank you, and thank you for having me.
Oh, we're super excited about that. And, you know, want to talk at the end a little bit about your interesting career, let's say, pivot. But let's jump right into the film. And I have to say, as I was saying off camera prior, I loved it. I didn't know I would love it that much. But I have to ask, how did you get involved with this film in the first place?
Okay, well, thank you. I love that you love it. I was directing and producing a documentary series a couple years back for CNN called American Style. And it was chronicling style in America from the 40s until present day. I interviewed a lot of people. One of them was Pat Field, and she was amazing in this interview. She was funny. You know, she's who you see in the film. And so when she left the interview, I remember turning to the crew and saying, somebody needs to make a documentary on this woman. And so I decided to do that and got all excited to go and approach Pat, thinking she'd be excited as well. And she said no. She said no. Lots of people have come to me over the years. I don't like to be put on a pedestal. It makes me uncomfortable. I don't want to do it. She just flat out was like, no. And that was in 2019 in December. So we know what happened very shortly after that. And so 2 years went by, and in the summer of 21, I was still thinking very much about it and really wanted to do it. And I approached Pat again. And this time I said to her, look, anybody can make a documentary on you. You're a public figure. But I'm not interested in like doing interview archival, like the traditional, like Pat Field was born on this day at this time. What I want to do is I want to watch you work. I want to see your process. I want to follow you. I want to see you shop. I want to get inside your head. I want to see a fitting with actors to see how you get to where you get to. And I said, if you don't do that now, she was turning 80 at that time. I said, when are you going to ever do that? And she said, okay.
Well, what an amazing woman. And you obviously convinced her, and she obviously liked you, because you can see through the whole film, this lady does not do what she doesn't want to do. And you saw little moments of, her tenacity and maybe her mood. That must have been interesting to work with. How did you manage?
It was interesting to work with, but I want to point out that the reason it's in there is because the whole time I was filming this thing, I heard her voice in my head saying, I don't like to be put on a pedestal. And so I wanted to include that side of Pat that some might find a little abrasive or brash or sometimes even mean. But she says things in such a funny way that always have this undertone of love, but she can be very forward and very abrasive, and she clearly speaks her mind. And all of that is important because that's part of who she is, not just as a person, but as a designer and as a creative person. She goes with her gut. She doesn't care what people think, unless she's collaborating with them. She's a good collaborator. But so I don't know if that answered your question.
It totally
how was
did.
That?
Yes.
I mean, it was not, none of that was difficult per se, because she just kind of, moves past it. Like, she doesn't ever look back. She's always looking forward. Like if there's some moment that seemed tense, she just, keeps going. So it was never really an issue. I mean, there were times where I had to kind of twist her arm to do something that I had in my head, but she would ultimately understand what I was talking about. It's funny, we just opened in New York and we were doing a Q&A at a theater, and she was talking about the opening scene with swimming, and she said, I didn't understand why you wanted to do that, but she's like, that's why I do what I do and you do what you do.
I was going to say, you definitely captured the fierceness side of her, and all that. I would certainly encourage, in the last few minutes we have here with you, encourage anyone to watch this film. Just the people that she supported, and you're right, there was a mean streak, but I think that was all done in love. Some of the employees being fired 13 times and always brought back to the family, and it was amazing. So, on our last couple minutes, I just want to ask you, how did you do that pivot? You would have a master's in architecture. It said you were disgruntled with the profession. In a very short note, can you tell us how you pivoted and now you're great success in the film business?
Thank you. Yeah, I was an architect for 14 years. I mean, I not only have a master, but I'm licensed and I practiced. I love architecture, but the profession of architecture can be a bit difficult, as a lot of architects will tell you. It's hard to, make a lot of money. It's hard to really express your creativity. People don't trust an architect until they're 50 or 60 years old to actually do a project for them. So I pivoted, and the way I did the pivot was I started doing production design, because I didn't want to go back. I mean, I thought about going back to school, and I already had a master's and I was in debt, and I thought, how many masters do I need? So I just started doing it, and I was really lucky, met great people and really networked like crazy, and got opportunities to do things along the way and just built my career up. But luckily, it all worked out, and I've really enjoyed the last 25 years that I've been in this business.
Wonderful. Well, that's evident in your most current project, Happy Close, a film about Patricia Field. Excellent job. Thank you so much for joining us on Our City Tonight. And this is out on VOD very soon. When the time that this is actually airing, it will be available. So it'll skyrocket. Thanks, Michael.
Thank you so much.
Well, we've had a composer, a director, and now, most importantly, we have great hair Chris joining us with some fantastic food for the autumn season here at Hydra.
Yes, we're here at Hydra with our favorite sommelier and maitre d', Chris.
Hello,
Chris
welcome
Lang.
back. Nice to have you guys.
Always so great here. You have some amazing food. Let's cover that first and give us the assortment that's out
Okay,
on the
so
table.
I brought a little kind of a transitioning display of food today because I wanted to talk about a few things. It is that time of year. We're looking at booking groups. Everybody's doing their Christmas parties. The Cabana at Hydra is an awesome space for groups. This is one of our group menu options, our little seafood, our mini kind of seafood tower. But this also transitions into some of our happy hour options because, of course, we're still doing our $1.50 a shuck oysters. This is our $12 calamari for happy hour.
Ooh.
We've got our beautiful brambleberry cooler for our happy hour cocktail. Brought in a nice spicy red devil, just a great winter cocktail. And then this November is the last month of the halibut season.
Okay,
So we got
good
to
to
see our
know.
pan-seared halibut, and of course a beautiful sweet little finish with a classic Greek baklava and pistachio ice cream.
You know, one of the things we've mentioned before when you've been on the show, you have really introduced Lita and I and our viewers to some of the great Greek wines you have here because I knew nothing about them. Lita knew more, but I had no idea.
I always do.
You really do, actually. It's
Chris,
adorable.
tell us a little bit about that.
So we go out of our way to bring in some great Greek whites and reds, of course, as well. But I love the kind of the forgotten varietals of indigenous kind of countries. So this is Kiranitsa, Peloponnese area. You know, a little outside of the kind of the sea influence, so you're not going to get salinity, but lots of volcanic soil. This wine, the grape really has a kind of strong quince character, but beautiful with seafood, great minerality, great finish to it. Just one of many Greek whites and reds that we have available here for you.
Yeah, it's been some incredible wines, and I know you seek out some great ones to fit in with your food.
We're lucky enough to have some great suppliers that go out of their way now to find us because we are a successful Vancouver Greek restaurant.
You very much
The
are.
one that Vancouver deserves.
Very
This
nice.
is fantastic. I completely see digging into this halibut and definitely with the oysters.
Oh, this will be perfect with your oysters, with the salmon tartare, with the tuna sashimi, our
Yep.
octopus, and yeah, the halibut. Whether it's this or I pick out some cruise chablis for you, maybe instead.
Very nice. This is just great. Hey,
This is wonderful.
What we should do, we often film at your sister restaurants. We should give a quick shout out to Seaside Provisions where we have filmed before, not probably in the last couple of years, but Lita and I were there the other night, and boy, they've done a great expansion.
They have done a massive expansion. They've gone from being a 70-something seat restaurant to being a 300-seat restaurant. Big wine list, 250 labels on that list. Great artisan cheeses, handcrafted charcuterie, some share platters, like their golden chicken is gorgeous. Lots of other dining options. Really fun, like celebration of flavors. It's a fun little destination.
It's interesting they've expanded, but they haven't lost their warmth
No,
there.
no.
And that's really key.
Yeah, especially in North Van, that community needs to stay warm.
Hey, it's Chris, who always looks after us when we're here at Hydra. Thank you, sir. And as Chris mentioned, holidays are pretty much almost here.
Yeah.
So book your parties. You can get the room where we always film, the Cabana Lounge. Come check them out. Chris, where can they find Hydra online?
HydraVancouver.com. If you see an events tab, click on that, scroll down, you'll see group menu options. You'll see an opportunity to submit group reservation applications if you are interested in booking 12 or more.
Wonderful.
Excellent. Thank you, Chris.
Cheers. My
Cheers.
pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, we're back here at Hydra Restaurant in the Cabana Lounge. And Jim, you did a really good segment with our ambassador for kindness back in the summer.
That's right. David McCann, who you've seen on our show a bunch of times. We've been doing random acts of kindness segments with him for the last couple of years. This was a really nice one, and we're getting to it now. It was shot in late summer, and it was a dedication to a gentleman who was one of the many that were instrumental in making Granville Island what it is today. We're going to look back at that and Dave, and it took place on Granville Island late this past summer. Well, if you're a regular viewer of Our City Tonight, you know we spent a lot of time on Granville Island. We also spent a lot of time with our good friend Dave McCann, who is part of Creek House Industries and our partners for the Random Acts of Kindness segments. We're here on a lovely Friday afternoon, and I'm joined by Jack Kynes, who is going to talk to us about what we're standing in front of and a tribute to one man, actually two men, we should say.
Well, that's right.
Yeah. Jack, tell us about John Keith King. He's been in and around our shows over the last few years because of his legacy.
Well, he's left quite a legacy.
Yeah.
John Keith King was an architect and a developer who basically took Post and Beam and turned it into viable retail outlets. And so he developed the Maritime Market and Marina here. And that was I worked for him in the early 90s through to about 98.
It's amazing, too, that since we've gotten to know Granville Island better and working with everybody, such as the folks here at Maritime Market, all the thread line running through all these shows is just the vision that a lot of these guys had, because this was not what it was. This island is today, including this area.
Yeah, things like this don't happen without visionaries.
Yeah.
And John Keith King certainly was one.
Let's talk about what's in front of us here. This is just a stunning piece of work, and it's let's talk about the artist.
The artist is Clarence Mills. He's a Haida carver of note, and he's more known for his totem poles. But he approached me when we put this kind of thought together, and he decided that this would be a nice functional piece of art.
This will be up, and too, we should mention Bill Johnson, who bought from John. Am I getting you the story right?
Yeah, well, I was working for John when Bill Johnson bought it, and eventually he's passed as well. And so his wife and his daughter run the show, so it stayed a family business.
Yeah. So this will be located here in this part of Granville Island?
Exactly.
Wonderful. Jack, thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, no Random Act of Kindness segment would be complete without our old friend from Creek House, Dave McCann. He's not old, we just known him a long time. We got you last here. We've talked to Jack and Gary, and as I said to them, one of the great things that I've really discovered over the last 4 years we've been filming here off and on at Granville Island is the history and the legacy, and what you're here today to MC and commemorate and pay tribute to is part of just people honoring the history of the men and the women that were here early, that saw things and built Granville Island to what it is today. You knew this man well as well.
John was a treasured friend, and I knew him for almost 30 years. He came down here when Gary Anderson and Mitch Taylor and a number of other people were down here, and took an incredible risk. He did everything from the entrance to Granville Island at Vancouver Fish Company to Bridges Restaurant. He did the marina behind us. An incredible financial risk, but also an incredible vision. I can help turn this into what is, I think, the #1 people place in Canada. It's a vibrant place. Everything from children to old folks are welcome here.
Yeah, and I know that things have to evolve and things move on and things change. As I said, evolve being a big word, but also what's happening today is something I like because it's also honoring history and it's honoring the people that were here before, and we're not just forgetting them because they're no longer here and it's now and it's not then. I love that the Granville Island really does try to make a point of doing this kind of thing, and you're emceeing today, so.
Yeah, I just find it nice that CMHC and the island tenants and the visitors of the island do recognize the contributions that people like John made.
Now joined by Gary Anderson. He's the managing director of Creek House, who is always behind the scenes when we do what we do. And Gary, one of the threads, as I said, at Jack, that runs through all our shows that we've done with you and on the island as a whole are visionaries who came here over 50 years ago, you being one of them, about to celebrate 51 years, I think you told me, and that you saw something here that was great, that could really benefit the public, the tourists, and here we are, #2 tourist destination in all of Canada, Granville Island. Talk about the early days, especially when we're talking about John Keith King and your relationship with him.
Well, Keith King missed the red hot boom chains in front of Creek House. But he did.
You didn't know, did you?
Yeah. But he did a great job putting this together. It was a huge operation that John put together. He was a great visionary and really understood as an architect how to go and deal with this type of thing. He did a brilliant job. And he's a much grander adventure than mine, the Creek House, but there it is. He actually wanted me to come in on him, but I was so annoyed with the island, I didn't do it.
Well, it's a whole bunch of people in one frame, and we have only 2 microphones here today, so we're going to do something we don't normally do, and that's pass the microphone down as opposed to passing the hat down when we put money in, that kind of thing. David, you kick things off because there's some wonderful people here that are involved in what's going on today.
Well, on behalf of the Vancouver community, and particularly the Granville Island community, and I think the millions of visitors that come every year, I just want to thank CMHC and Jackie Johnson and Rhonda, her mom, for doing this to honor some of Granville Island's pioneers. I think it's amazing.
Thanks, and I'm glad it's not a hat because I didn't bring any money. But so on behalf of CMHC Granville Island, this is wonderful. This is a community event. It doesn't happen without the contributions of some of our longtime tenants. It's amazing that now we're almost 50 years in, and we've still got some of the original folks who were here even before CMHC. So this is a wonderful piece of history, and we're just so excited to see this. Thank you very much for doing all this work.
Rhonda, Jackie, one of the things that we've been talking about is this legacy and this continuation. You tribute to Bill and to John.
Of course.
It's good to see because a lot of places don't do that. You know, that's yesterday. We don't care about that anymore, but it's good to see that they do on this island.
Yes, it's wonderful. It's a family business, and it's been absolutely amazing to be part of such a wonderful community down here, and to have everyone involved today has just been great.
It is a pleasure to see everybody, and just what a nice celebration, and everybody is participating, everybody from Granville Island. It is a real community, so it's nice to see everybody, so it's great.
This Act of Kindness segment was sponsored by the folks at the Creek House in the heart of Granville Island. They encourage you to open up your heart and reach out and help someone in need. Closed captioning and other promotional considerations provided by Hamilton High Street Senior Residence, Richmond's newest senior living community.
Now we're back here where we started the show, and Jim, I just noticed your tie kind of clashes with me though a bit.
It does a little bit. I know you've been calling it a clown tie all day.
He's a good sport.
I tell you what, I purchased it from 19 clowns that got out of a very small cup.
Oh, okay, that's lovely. You got to work on that.
Yes. Hey, don't forget you can reach us. It's info@ourcitytonighttv.com. Check out our new website as well. It's up there, ourcitytonightttv.com.
And you can mention what you think of Jim's tie.
Yeah, brat. Anyway, from Hedra, I'm Jim Gordon.
And I'm Lita Leapins.
We will hopefully see you on the next edition of Our City Tonight.
You can contact us and watch past episodes at ourcitytonightttv.com. The Richmond Sentinel, providing news, entertainment, and human interest stories in print and online.